Dame Dervilla, you have been a structural engineer for many a year. Many a year. You've worked on major projects globally. What has drawn you into working on the Net Zero Challenge?
I can see that engineers have a vital role to play in delivering net zero. And so I was involved with the UK Council for Science and Technology, advising the UK Prime Minister, and net zero came on the agenda. So I got involved there, and subsequently I've worked with the Royal Academy of Engineering, the National Engineering Policy Centre, to bring forward the net zero agenda and to help bring an engineering perspective that will enable fast and efficient delivery of that.
Yeah, and just before the camera started rolling, you and I had a very interesting conversation. We're at the Innovate Zero conference here in London, and Dame Dervilla's got quite a lot to say about the innovation side and also marrying that with the reality of the challenge of getting to a decarbonised grid by 2030.
So I think it's very easy to talk about innovation, and there are areas where we must innovate for the future. But there's a lot we can do now, today, to enable the delivery of net zero. And there's a lot we need to plan for in the future. So I often think about, what do we need to do now? What should we do, plan for and do next? And then what do we need to innovate for? Because many of the technologies exist today which we can utilize to take us on that journey. So one of the first reports we did with the National Engineering Policy Centre was a report called Low Regrets Decisions. So what can you do that you've no regret about? You can, for example, reduce demand on the grid. And you can do that through incentivizing customers to reduce demand. You could roll out the support for electric vehicles, that network across the UK. So these are low regret decisions, require no innovation, just require delivery.
I mean, I think that's fascinating, isn't it? Because politicians and policymakers, and even, we in the media often get quite carried away by, well, you want big innovative projects. But actually, so what you're saying is so much of what we need to do exists already, and it's about deploying it. And so how confident do you feel that the deployment of those low or no regret options that are at our disposal now are actually being?
I am not confident about that, but I am somebody who remains optimistic, because if we're not forward-looking and optimistic, we will never deliver. So one of, in the other work I've done more recently with the Royal Academy of Engineering is the rapid decarbonisation of the grid. And one of the first things they say there is we need to have a vision. So we need to really be able to understand what needs to be done to move us from our current power grid to a newer, more flexible, more resilient, more secure system. And that needs to be worked out in quite a lot of detail, starting at a strategic level and working down. Once that vision is clear, once the right leadership and governance is in place, then you enable a whole supply chain to move forward. And those people in the supply chain will innovate. Once they have clarity on the work scope, they will innovate it, because it'll be in the interest of their businesses to innovate. And the innovation will be at all sorts of different levels and in different ways.
And so that vision, you feel that is being developed, the nitty-gritty is being, worked out?
The high level is being developed. I wait to hear that it has reached a lower level and that nitty-gritty is fully understood and that the supply chain really understands that. But there's another dimension we need to think about, is the public. There is no point having a plan for clean power for 2030 and for the public not to be bought into why are we doing this, and to see the advantages of having power lines in their neighbourhood. So I think there's a lot of communication to come around. And there is another area where I think we could be quite innovative in how that is communicated and literally sold to the general population.
I mean, I think that's fascinating, and that really hits upon the role that we here in Energy Voice and E-FWD have to play. Because frankly, when you come to these events, when you see some of the on-the-ground supply chain innovation that I am fortunate enough to see, you see that this huge disconnect between the political rhetoric and actually what is happening on the ground and the entrepreneurship.
Yes, yes. I think there is a view, and I cannot say that I can completely accurately stand behind it because I don't have enough knowledge, but there is a view that business and the industry is getting ahead of government. And I think, therefore, government and policymakers need to pick up and say, right, let's ride this wave, let's support it and move quickly.
Well,
I was just going to say, that's why the leadership and governance is so important, is we are going to have to do things more quickly and maybe in a different way, and therefore that needs to be the right sort of leadership that recognises those positive aspects and takes things forward.
Well, Dame Dervilla, with people like you collaborating with government and across industry, I feel even more confident about our prospects, and we hope to see you again at an E-FWD and Energy Voice event in the future.